Welcome to a very special Geekdom Q&A where I am on camera as I'm answering your questions. This time, the questions are going to be coming in from the members, which recently they have been, who are at tier 2 or higher as part of the Geekdom 101 YouTube channel. If you want to join that YouTube channel, click the join button at the bottom of this video, and there's a video that pops up that will explain to you the perks. This is for tier 2 and up, which also gives you access to the special members only Discord server, only tier 2 and up. And with that, you'll be able to watch movies with us. You'll be able to watch wrestling pay-per-views and UFC pay-per-views and boxing pay-per-views. We have watch parties in there for Dragon Ball and the absolute best, most pristine quality out there, the kind that you can't even get if you go to the store right now. Legitimately, too. I'm not even BSing you. And all kinds of stuff. We watch Street Fighter, the anime. We watch live-action movies. We saw The Cable Guy the other day. All kinds of good stuff. All kinds of good stuff. But anyways, and of course, supports the channel. And I thank you as always for your support. If you can't do it, that's okay. I'll always appreciate your support just for watching this video. But I'm going to answer the questions right now from the members. And let's get to it. Okay, here we go. First question here is from... Oh, one more thing. Quick cheap plug here. This weekend, one of the biggest videos I've ever put together, 25-minute long video, Goku versus Marvel. That's right, we stack up Ultra Instinct Goku from the current era, like the Moro arc and, you know, the Jiren stuff. Probably the Moro arc. I would say the Moro arc, Goku, versus various different characters from the Marvel Universe. Different ones at different levels, and we're going to tell you if Goku can beat him or not. Really, really fun video to do. I hope y'all enjoy it. So let's get to these questions here. First, by the way, I have two monitors. I'm sure many of you know, so I'll be looking this way because, you know, the questions are on this monitor. The camera's on top of this one. So let's get to it. All right. XXThuggyTXX says, what scene in all of Dragon Ball as a whole has a special meaning for you? For example, mine is when Goku sacrificed himself and said goodbye to Gohan. When that episode was released, it was the week my dad passed. Well, that's certainly powerful. And I know that after my dad passed away, that scene also had a strong meaning for me. For sure, without question. So that's a good one. When he sees Grandpa Gohan, which is similar to that scene in Dragon Ball when he reunites with him at Baba's palace, I think that was a really powerful scene. One of the most powerful in the history of the series. I remember watching that with an ex, and she cried her eyes out. And she wasn't even a hardcore fan. It was her first watch through of Dragon Ball, start to finish, and she literally started crying. And that should tell you something when a cartoon, when an anime makes you cry. You know, especially for a non-anime fan. So that's a big one right there. Just so many scenes, dude. When Goku pops up out of the water against Frieza and does the Kaioken times 20. If you're watching the original Japanese Z, or if you're watching the Kai dub, because Sean Schemmel kills it in the Kai dub. Love the speech he gives in that one. That's one. I mean, there's so many. There are so many. But as far as having a special meaning for me, I think the most emotional is that one. And also just... That's a big one for me. And also, I mentioned this before, in Battle of Gods, when Gohan finds out that Vidal's pregnant, and the way that his face was, and the way he lit up, and how happy of a moment it was, that right there, it was like the most human moment in Dragon Ball for me. Like that right there. The fact that Gohan is going to be a dad. And that's a beautiful moment considering we go all the way back to Gohan being a kid and Goku being a dad. So that's one right there. David Medina says, will we ever get DB and or DBGT Dragon boxes, or maybe ever get the full color manga finish? Well, I can't predict the future, bro. I can't predict the future. Dragon Ball and GT have Japanese Dragon boxes. They never brought over Z. The reason as to why that is, I do not know. I literally have no idea as to why they didn't release Dragon Ball and GT, even if it was a limited run over here outside of Japan in Dragon boxes. If you want those Dragon boxes, the Japanese ones, you can get them pretty cheap on eBay, but there's no subtitles. So either you have to know the series relatively well, or you have to speak Japanese. So take your pick on that one. But I don't know what the answer is. As far as the full color manga finish, that's up to Shueisha, not up to Viz. I've talked to Viz about that, and Viz says, hey, it's Shueisha's call. They give it to us arc by arc. So I have no idea if they're ever going to finish that. I've got the full colors back here. I've got all the full colors, but I've got the ones that Viz put out, and it is kind of weird to only see like 7 or 8 volumes, and that's it. Like, it's weird. Bond Jedi Ranger 29. What are your thoughts overall now on Dragon Ball as a franchise? Will it evolve in the Moro arc anime? I don't know if it's going to evolve in the Moro arc anime. I don't know about that. I think Dragon Ball is kind of in a weird place right now because it's manga only for the time being until the anime returns. And when it returns, it's probably going to be adapting what we've seen in the manga. So it'll be pretty much like any other show that's out. You know, most of them adapt manga anyways, right? So I think it's in a good direction because now we have guys like Naohiro Shintani. Now we have guys who are, you know, Toyotaro's a fan who's not working, which I'm not a huge fan of his, but I don't hate him either. I think he's effective, but he's not as good as other writers would be. So I think it's evolving and changing now. But will it ever be as good as the old stuff? No. I'm sorry, but Dragon Ball Super does not hold a candle to Dragon Ball and Z. It's just, it doesn't. I mean, and I will debate that forever. And you know, trust me, it just doesn't. There are great moments, don't get me wrong, and I love covering it, but compared to how good the original stuff was from a writing perspective, directing perspective, acting perspective, choreography perspective, it just doesn't. It just doesn't hold up. Outside of a couple of big fights in the series, maybe 3 or 4, and big moments. Ashley Danoa says, if you have one thing as fan service in the MCU, what would it be? If I could have one thing as fan service, just pure fan service for me, it would be Thanos coming back and being a good guy and working with the Avengers against a bigger threat. But something that I would like to see that would actually be close to this, but not really, is Onslaught. If they're going to buy the Fox rights, which they have already done, and incorporate the Fox X-Men, I want to see an Onslaught storyline in the MCU. And those of you who don't know who Onslaught is, look it up. Most of you know, though. Onslaught could be as big as Endgame, if you ask me. If they build it up for several years, Onslaught could be that damn big. Test Account says, new to anime, aside from Dragon Ball as a whole, why do I feel this weird thing in the left side of my chest after the show ended? After finishing the show, I feel the urge to want to watch more and more. Is this the start of an addiction? If you're talking about just Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball's pretty addicting. As far as like other anime, you didn't specify which anime you're talking about, but anime's always been, well, not always, but a lot of popular anime are serialized. So it's not episodic, so you have to keep watching next episode, next episode, next episode. And back in the days of the original dub, you know, every week, stay tuned for scenes from the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Every week. And it was, or every day in some cases, every day. And so you're just like, whoa, like, what's going to happen next? And that's a beautiful way to tell a story because it hooks the viewer. Ryan Torte, 3 moments that the Funimation original English dub managed to get right or outdo the original Japanese dub of Dragon Ball Z, and 3 that managed to botch. Well, there's more than 3 that botched it. There's like tons that botched it. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. There's way more than 3. As far as 3 that did it better than the Japanese, none. And I'm sorry, but none. Except for there's some that are as good. There are some moments that are as good from the original Funimation dub. Better than the Japanese, none. I'm sorry if that bothers your nostalgia. It's my opinion, and I've been watching this series in multiple languages for 25 years, and I can tell you that. There's none that are better than the Japanese. There are some moments musically that are pretty good with the old Falconer score, and there are some moments that are as good as the Japanese, or some that give you a different feeling. But as far as actually being better, no. Kai, on the other hand, there's a bunch of moments in Kai that I think surpass the Japanese, and that's because they really tried harder in the English dub to do a better, you know, vocal performance. And the scripting is relatively good. So there's a few there. Like, I really love, I mentioned earlier, Goku fighting Frieza doing Kaioken times 20 is just as good as Nozawa when Shenmue does it, if not a little bit better than the Kai version. The Gohan Cell stuff is pretty good in Kai. You know, there's a few. Majin Vegeta I thought was a little bit better in Kai. That's, you know, how I feel. Okay, Toting Flip Flops. How were you introduced to Dragon Ball? I've told this story before. In an old EGM magazine in 1994, there was an advertisement for a game called Dragon Ball Z Super Futoden, even though it was really called Butoden. They messed up the translation. And it had this picture of the, I think it was Nakatsuru, or it might have been that mysterious big-eared artist from the 90s. And it's Goku with blonde hair, Super Saiyan Goku. Didn't know what the hell that was. And I was like, hey, this guy looks pretty cool. What is this show? And what is this game? And there's all these panels. And then in the back of the magazines back in the day, you had like these figurines they would sell. And I saw Broly and Cell and Boo not having a clue who they were. Didn't have a clue who these characters were. No, Boo was later. Boo was like 95 when I saw him in the magazines, 95, 96. Fat Boo. And then a friend of mine showed me like an early Bardock special, and I had no idea what I was watching. And then I started watching Dragon Ball on syndication, the old dub, the old Pilaf arc in 95. And that's when I started to watch it. And then I saw Z, and then I started collecting tapes and seeing it in Spanish, saw it in English, saw it in Japanese. That's pretty much how it went. Very addicting show. And I'm sure you agree, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be here. What would you think of the idea of a villain using their intelligence to keep Goku and company on the ropes as opposed to sheer power? Well, I would love the idea, but that's what Moro was doing. Except he was using magic as well. And I would love that idea, like a Brainiac type of villain. That would be great if you had like a villain who didn't really have any powers but was able to manipulate the good guys. I mean, Bobby D kind of did that, but again, he's magic. The only issue is that they have a lot of smart characters on the good side now, like Piccolo, and well, Piccolo wasn't smart in the manga recently, but you know, in general, Piccolo's smart, Roshi is experienced, Whis, of course, so it's hard to outsmart Goku and Vegeta when you have really smart people on their side. You know what I mean? Very difficult to do. Madoshi Brain, can you think of any moments in Dragon Ball that most people love, but you either dislike or don't really care for? Honestly, no, because when somebody loves a moment from Dragon Ball, I kind of understand why, you know what I mean? Like, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, I get why you like this. Some I like more than others. There is one that other people like that I don't really care for, and that is in the Super Android 13 movie, Dragon Ball Z movie 7, when Goku absorbs the Genki Dama and has that weird face where, like, you know, and then he punches, like, the punch is cool, but, like, when they zoom in on his face, and he has that awkward look on his face with his teeth all out, I didn't like that look. I thought it would look kind of weird and kind of dumb. Conceptually, it's a decent idea, but I didn't like that too much. Outside of that, I can't really think of anything that people like that I just hate. Honestly, I really can't. Even stuff from the dub, I kind of find amusement in, you know, and I talked earlier about how the dub never matched the sub, in my opinion. What are your top 5 favorite wrestling matches of all time? Well, I can't really list. I don't know if I can list them all right here, but I'll tell you my top 5 off the top of my head, right? The Rock versus Steve Austin, WrestleMania 17. Steve Austin versus Triple H, 3 Stages of Hell. I love the Kobashi Misawa match from, I think, 97. That's on YouTube, by the way. Kenta Kobashi, Mitsuharu Misawa. Let me think. I love the Naito versus Okada match from the Tokyo Dome last year that I was there live at. I can't really say that I love it. I'm biased on that one because I was there live, so, you know, that's tough. Bret Hart, Steve Austin, WrestleMania 13 and Survivor Series 96. Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, WrestleMania 10. God, there's so many of them, yo. And I'm just oh yeah, Ric Flair versus Sting, all of them, even though they're all the same. I think I like the Great American Bash 90 and the Starrcade 89 one a lot. Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat, the first one from no, not the first one. I love that one too, but the one from Music City Showdown from May of 89, I like that one. Oh, there's just so many of them, bro. And all that good stuff from the 80s from Tiger Mask and Dynamite Kid. I love that stuff. Lord Vito gonna jump on Nerd Vengers anytime soon. Dude, you love Josh, bro. You're gonna marry the guy? Like, you bring him up every time. Like, he brings up Josh from Den of Nerds all the time. And shout out to Den of Nerds. Check out Den of Nerds on YouTube, yo. He puts out streams every morning discussing all the latest news in the MCU and in nerd culture, not just MCU, but also DC stuff, Star Wars, whatever. Check out Den of Nerds. Artex GTM, do you think Granolah will have a new transformation or any new techniques? Well, for sure he'll have something. We've only seen him for 2 chapters. So he's going to have something. We just don't know what it is yet. He might not have a new technique or new transformation, but it might be something new to us as fans. But if you're talking about will he transform after gaining more power? Possibly. We don't know anything about the serial race, though. We don't know if they transform. We don't know if they can grow in size. We don't know if they can shrink. We don't know anything. We know nothing about these people. All we know is that Frieza's empire, led by the Saiyans, well, led by Frieza, the Saiyans were the ones doing the work. They destroyed his home based on his dream. So that's all we know. We don't know anything else. Because he needs to become extremely strong to kill Frieza. Well, you don't need a transformation to be strong. See, that's the problem in modern Dragon Ball, yo. That's one thing I don't like about modern Dragon Ball. Too much reliance on transformations. It's always a new form, new form, new form, new form, new form. I'm done with it. I've been saying this for 2 years now. I am done with new forms, yo. You know what I mean? Not everyone has to transform. Now, if he has a transformation that fits with him, then that's fine. Because Dragon Ball's always had a lot of transformations. Well, especially, not always, but in the Z era and on. So, if it fits with him, that's fine. But if you're going to give him new forms, I don't know, man. I don't think that should be a thing. I like it when they just get strong in their base, and they can get that strong whenever they want. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay. King Muck. This is a long one, dude. I'm going to go ahead and read it, though. Here we go. This is the last question of the Q&A. What the? Oh, never mind. Okay. I'm basically making a wish with the Dragon Balls, but geek them first. Do you think King Kai is MIA because when he returns on screen, it will be because he's going to train Goku or what? No, he's MIA because Joji Yanami, who voice acts as King Kai, as Kai Osama, is ill. He's been sick since about Battle of Gods arc around Super, and they replaced him, if you notice, with a different narrator and a different actor. So that's why we haven't seen King Kai. Out of respect for the actor, the Japanese have chosen not to incorporate him into the storyline. He's not really necessary now that we have Beerus, Whis, the Zeno button, the Grand Priest. You don't really need that level of God to help Goku, but that's why. I mean, that's literally why. Out of respect for Joji Yanami, who is the first voice we've ever heard on Dragon Ball, going all the way back to 86. He was the first voice you hear when the show starts narrating the first episode. You know, he is a legend. He's been with us for a long time. And when he does pass away, it's going to be sad because Bulma's gone, Hiromi Suru. Joji Yanami passing away, Nozawa will be the last one of the original trinity of the first episode of Dragon Ball. You know what I'm saying? As far as like the original 3 voices, the ones that you hear kind of all the time. I'm going to go on and read what he says, but I just kind of gave you the answer. I say this because although as powerful as Goku is, Master Roshi was still able to teach him the Mafuba. So in theory, maybe an attack like the Dragon Fist can become canon by having King Kai teach to Goku. I don't think Kai Osama knows that. Movie would have taught it to him already. You know what I mean? Or maybe they just have him tap into that power on his own accord, and we finally get the Sensei Goku that trains Oob. Maybe. I mean, I don't think he has to learn the Dragon Fist to be the Sensei that trains Oob. Sorry, I kind of got carried away, but honestly, do you think Dragon Ball will ever see King Kai as a prominent role like that again? Probably not, honestly. It's not necessary for the story. It's kind of like Karin, or like, well, Kami's gone, he fused with Piccolo, but we know Karin is there, right? He's in the Karin Tower, and Yajirobe's there most of the time, too, eating the Senzu beans, but as far as him being a prominent figure, probably not. Like, Roshi is a fan favorite, and you're right, Roshi did teach Goku the Mafuba, but I don't think people clamor for Kai Osama, for King Kai, the Lord of Lords. I think Roshi was a fighter, and we saw him fight multiple times in Dragon Ball. Little bit in Z, not too much in some of the movies. And we saw him fight again in Super, and that was a treat. But as far as Kai Osama being important again, I just don't think so. I think with Joji Yanami getting sick and maybe eventually passing away, unfortunately, who even knows why he's even sick? I don't even have an answer for you. he's probably going to be scaled back or not used at all. It's not really necessary for the story at this point. So that's it for the Q&A. Thank you again. Remember, Goku versus Marvel drops this weekend. I want to thank y'all for watching. Take care of yourself and each other, and I'll talk to you soon.